July 20th, 1969. We've all seen the grainy footage, we know the famous quotes, and it's literally cemented in the history books. But today, we're going to look at this monumental event through a completely unexpected lens, ancient Vedic astrology. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring a source text that mathematically calculates the exact celestial sky on that specific day, and uses it to argue a radically different narrative. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but impartially breaking down how this document uses the stars to deconstruct modern history, it's a seriously fascinating ride. Let's dive in.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by looking at the raw data in the sky of 1969, then we'll move into Rahu's dominance and illusions, look at building the narrative, explore what the text calls a non-physical journey, and wrap the whole thing up with the final astrological verdict.
Part 1. The sky of 1969, the celestial blueprint.
Before we look at that blueprint, we really need a quick vocabulary lesson so we're all on the same page. This text relies heavily on something called nakshatras. Think of them like lunar mansions. They're these distinct markers along the ecliptic that pinpoint very specific cosmic energies. You see, in this system, it's not just about what broad zodiac sign a planet happens to be in. The real nitty-gritty nuance lives in the nakshatra.
Right, so here is the ultimate architectural blueprint of the sky on that exact day. And this isn't just guesswork, it's drawn directly from highly precise mathematical data, specifically using the official Swiss ephemeris and Lahiri tables. The text meticulously maps out every major player for us. We've got the Sun in Pushya, the Moon in Chitra, Mercury in Magha, and Venus and Mars hanging out in Ardra. Now don't worry, you absolutely do not need to memorize all these names right now. The main takeaway here is that the source is using this highly specific, calculated alignment to argue that the sky was primed for a very orchestrated event.
Moving on to Section 2. Rahu's dominance, artifice, and technology.
The document argues that this chart is dominated by an incredibly rare pattern. First up, Mars is in Ardra, which represents advanced engineering, and the text literally translates this to special effects. Next, we have Venus sitting right on the edge of Mrigashira and Adra, which is heavily associated with artificial aesthetics. And finally, there's a Moon and Ketu conjunction in Chitra, bringing in themes of visual construction. If we were making a movie, Mars would be your massive CGI budget, and the Moon is your master set designer. The source argues this specific alignment points straight toward a highly visual media event, not a scientific expedition.
Just look at the stark contrast in these energies. On one side, you have the Moon and Ketu building the scenography and the literal set design. On the other side, Mars is providing the intense technological shock value. The text uses this juxtaposition to argue that advanced tech was being used specifically to create a visual illusion. According to the document, it's the perfect fusion of elite engineering and masterful stagecraft.
Section 3. Building the narrative, the official story.
So if you've got this massive, incredible visual construction going on, how do you actually sell it to the entire world? Well, the source points to the Sun sitting right in Pushya. In Vedic astrology, Pushya represents absolute legitimization. It's an official blessing. The text views this as the absolute perfect astrological placement for creating an unquestionable national myth and securing global prestige.
But, getting universal consensus requires communication. On the day of the moon landing, Mercury, which is the planet of communication, was in Magha. This is a placement representing the throne, royalty, and absolute authority. The document claims this means the communication surrounding the event wasn't organic at all. It was a tightly curated, top-down propaganda effort controlled by the elite.
And here is the really crucial dynamic. The Sun in Pushya gave the whole event this heroic, celebrated, and completely trusted public face. But behind the scenes, Saturn was over in Barney, which represents extreme discipline and hidden underground operations. Think of a modern PR campaign. You have a pristine, untouchable public image masking a tightly controlled, highly secretive war room. That is exactly the dynamic the text argues this chart reveals.
Section 4. A non-physical journey, the master illusion.
Okay, we've reached the absolute climax of the document's argument, and it hinges entirely on the north node of the Moon, known as Rahu. On that specific day, Rahu was sitting in the Revati nakshatra. The text outlines Revati as the ultimate archetype of worlds beyond the tangible. It's deeply associated with imaginary journeys, collective illusions, and transitions into non-physical, ethereal spaces.
So what does Rahu in Revati actually imply here?
Well, the text claims this absolutely was a journey, but a shared imaginary one that was broadcast to millions. It categorizes the moon landing as the ultimate signature of a well-constructed illusion, a reality believed by the masses, constructed entirely in the realm of perception and media rather than through literal, physical travel in a vacuum.
Section 5. The final astrological verdict, the grand synthesis.
The source basically takes all these threads, the artifice of Chitra, the raw technology of Ardra, the hidden control of Bharani, and synthesizes them into this exact quote: a media, symbolic, constructed, technological event perceived as real but not necessarily physical. The text unequivocally claims that this celestial blueprint maps out a total masterpiece of broadcast technology and visual set design, not men walking on rocks.
And honestly, that leaves us with one seriously fascinating question. According to this specific astrological framework, does the sky of 1969 reveal a physical triumph of human exploration or a masterful, technologically advanced illusion? Regardless of where you stand on the history, seeing an ancient celestial map used to systematically deconstruct a modern milestone, it really challenges us to rethink how narratives are built and how we interpret our own reality. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the world around you.